are calling into session the February 22nd, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Start with roll call. Oh, no, we will
Pledge of
not. We'll
Allegiance.
start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Like I said, throughout the state, you could stand and join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'll take roll call. Commissioner Inga,
Here.
Commissioner Newman,
Present.
Commissioner Magai,
Here.
Chair Kildorf,
Here.
and Vice Chair Heschler is off today. We have quorum.
Thank you. Okay, now is the time for public communications. Anybody wishing to do so, come on up. Okay, we will close public communications. Any written communications?
No late correspondence.
Thank you. All right, consent calendar looks like just our December meeting minutes. Can I take a motion to approve?
So moved.
I second.
Great.
And I'll take votes. Commissioner Inga,
Aye.
Commissioner Newman,
Aye.
Commissioner Magai,
Aye.
Chair Kildorf.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Great, thank you. Okay, new items, it looks like item H, the El Segundo Campus South Specific Plan, I can't think or talk today, has been continued, or there's a request to continue to our March 14th meeting. So anything that we need to discuss on that?
No.
I was going to ask, do you guys want to renotice it, or do you want them to continue it?
No, it's recommended to being continued to a date certain, and because of that, we don't have to renotice,
So we'll need a motion and a vote.
which is consistent with the recommendation. So if you continue it to the March 14th meeting, we won't have to renotice.
Okay,
I will move.
Item H, yes, I will second.
okay, so that item will be moved to our March 14th meeting. Okay.
And I'll take votes. Commissioner Inga,
Aye.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Magai,
Aye.
Chair Kildorf.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Great. Okay, so next up is a presentation on our general plan and housing element. See, staff we're teed up and ready to go. All right, take it away, Paul.
Good evening, Chair Kildorf and fellow commissioners. As you know, every year the city has to deliver 2 reports to the state, one on the progress on the general plan implementation and the other one on the housing element implementation progress. Those reports are due each year on April 1st. And the law also requires that before we submit the reports, we present them to our city council. And so we wanted to make sure we present to you the same reports as part of the overall process, but also as part of our ongoing sort of community outreach efforts to let people know about the housing element in our general plan work. On the general plan report, the law doesn't have specific guidance on the contents or the format. We have typically split our report into 2 sections. One is a summary of our department's activity over the last year, and the second part is sort of a progress report on each of the general plan elements, and that's a larger part of the report. This slide summarizes the first part of the report, the Community Development Department activity. And our department has been busy over the last year. We've assisted over 1,700 people at the counter, processed over 1,500 building permits, conducted 4,300 inspections. Our office in planning received 22 entitlement applications. Planning Commission held 14 meetings and took action on 16 items. Our neighborhood preservation officer has been very busy and continues to be proactive in her work and has opened 228 code cases last year. The second part of our general plan report does a status update on each individual element in the general plan. We will be focusing on the first 3 in our presentation tonight. Those folks that would like to go into things in more detail can review the full report, and we will get started with land use element. These are just some highlights of activities and projects that are related to the land use element and its implementation. So we completed an update to the Smoky Hollow specific plan that you helped us with. That covered updating the community benefit plan procedures, design standards, changing some of the permitted uses. We did a lot of work on implementing a rezoning effort that's required in the housing element. We anticipate that to be completed this spring, and we will cover that in a little bit under the housing element. We did a lot of work on the downtown specific plan updates. We also anticipate that to be completed this spring. We completed a pretty major zoning cleanup, zoning text amendment that covered a variety of topics such as reorganizing the permitted uses in the various zones, streamlining some of the development standards, and clarifying various provisions throughout the zoning code. One of the major projects that we processed was the Beach Cities Media Campus office project, about 180,000 square feet of office, along with a 700 space parking structure. Moving on to the circulation element in the general plan, those who are bike enthusiasts will probably be excited about some of the news here. Our Public Works Department started construction on a bike path along El Segundo Boulevard. Over 5 miles of bike lanes and on multiple streets on the east part of town. We continue to work on the engineering design for the Park Place Extension project. Started work on the Nash Street Extension project that will go through the Raytheon campus. And initiated a pilot program called El Segundo Connect, which is intended to replace our lunchtime shuttle operations and potentially expand the reach and the hours of operation. When that particular pilot program ends, actually it just ended, I believe, our Community Services Department will report to the City Council and get direction on what the next steps will be. Moving on to the housing element report. There are 11 programs in our housing element, and the next few slides I will be giving you a brief sort of status update on our progress on each of those programs. On number one, good news regarding the RSI program. LAWA has resumed and now administers that program directly. The city continues to be involved in that. It coordinates with LAWA on outreach and will be reviewing projects that require permits. And I believe I overheard a colleague at the office talking about permits being submitted from LAWA for this work. So the program is pretty ambitious. LAWA anticipates treating between 60 and 100 units quarterly for the next 5 years, so that's a pretty fast pace. Second program in the housing element, code compliance. As I mentioned earlier, our neighborhood preservation officer, Estela Cruz, has been very busy. Of the total of 228 cases, 112 were related to residential properties. Moving on to the ADU program. In 2023, we issued permits for 16 ADUs, which is on track with our goals and during this housing element period. Staff has also launched a new housing division webpage with a lot of information, including ADU regulations, handouts, potential funding sources, and other information. Regarding the inclusionary housing and affordable housing strategy program, as you probably recall, the City Council asked staff to kind of direct its efforts away from the inclusionary housing component at this time and focus more on the R3 rezoning efforts. The City Council adopted an affordable housing strategy at the end of 2023. That strategic plan includes 10 different policies and programs. The City Council also gave staff direction on the 4 big priorities for staff to pursue. Those are listed here in the, on this slide. Moving on to the fifth program, the Urban Lot Split Program. As you may recall, the city adopted an ordinance to allow small lot subdivisions in the R1 zone in 2022. We created handouts, we've posted those on our website in 2023, and we are developing an application checklist to assist applicants for these types of subdivisions this year. So we hope to complete that and post it a little bit later this year. Program number 6, to provide adequate sites for new housing. That is sort of one of the major programs in the housing element. We are making progress, as I mentioned, to complete that mixed use and housing overlay rezoning. We hope to bring that particular item to you at the end of next month. And that will also include specific development standards for those overlay districts, and also a provision in the code to encourage or incentivize projects to include affordable units in them. We also anticipate completing the downtown updates, and we hope to bring that item to you in early April, and then move on to City Council from there. And that will provide some additional housing opportunities in the city. And as we've discussed before, in Smoky Hollow, we hope to bring to you an amendment or update to address the live-work housing and potentially find some more opportunities for housing in Smoky Hollow. Program number 7 is related to Senate Bill 166, and specifically the no net loss law, if you're familiar with it. Not a lot of activity to report there. We have developed a simple spreadsheet to sort of track projects as we go, but not a lot of activity there, as I mentioned. Lot consolidation, that's another program. We didn't have any sort of due dates or deadlines in the last year, but this year we'll be doing some work to develop some strategies to encourage lot consolidation for new housing projects. Program number 9, we did a lot of work and made some major progress. The housing element calls for 12 separate sort of amendments to be done on 12 separate topics. We were able to complete 9 of those last year. 2 more will be part of the package in the rezoning project that we bring to you in the next month or so. And then 1 remaining code amendment we hope to complete by the end of this year. Our program number 10, community outreach, we have done a lot of work in 2023. We've actually kind of rolled out a pretty ambitious community outreach program that includes all these items on the screen. Last year we did our first annual housing community meeting at one of your regular meetings. We will be doing presentations annually to the Senior Citizen Corporation Board, to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, the El Segundo Rotary Club. We have initiated a new City Hall neighborhood pop-up event that will be done on a quarterly basis. Our department will be represented there, and will be providing housing-related information, in addition to any information on other services our department provides. We've also sort of done a lot of work on our housing element update website, created a new housing division website to provide a lot of housing related information, to include these reports and provide useful information to our residents. Those websites also provide the opportunity to people to sign up for email updates on various housing related topics. We've done advertising through the local newspaper. We've handed out flyers at the farmers market on occasion to promote events. So we've done a lot to try to attract residents and people to the city and to find out more about our housing programs. The last program in the housing element is the Fair Housing Program. Its aim is to take positive actions to reduce sort of discrimination in housing, to offer housing opportunities to diverse groups of various, of different sort of incomes, and different sort of ethnicities and so on. So that's the aim of this particular program. We've posted a lot of information on our website, and I have the website address there for our housing division page, where people can go and find out more information on fair housing and just housing issues in general. That essentially completes my presentation. I'll be happy to take any questions and take any comments you might have.
Thank you, Paul. I don't have any questions on what specifically was presented. I don't know if this is the time for this question. There's a site on our inventory list, Wiley Park, and then the property across from Wiley Park that I believe is just being constructed as a parking structure. I get asked about this all the time.
Yes.
And Wiley Park, I think, has been in closed session a couple of times with the city. So I literally just got a text that was like, hey, what's going on here? So at least once a week, somebody says, what's being built there? And I tell them it's a parking structure. So I want to make sure that's correct.
That is correct.
Okay.
Across from Wiley Park, there is a parking structure under construction.
It's on Franklin, and what is that?
Maryland.
Maryland?
But Chair, we had actually chatted about this before, and there's another project that they're doing, renovate or something,
Yeah.
right? Isn't
Yeah.
it further down Franklin?
It is, but it also,
Is
the
that not
people
what-
are associating it with Wiley Park,
It's
but
not
that's not it. No, but
associated.
this
Okay.
is the actual parking
Okay.
structure. And
Yeah.
I drove by it and it says, built by Park Architects,
Yeah.
so
So
it's a
that- yeah,
parking
that-
structure.
Yeah, okay, good.
Is the parking structure for the residents in the area, for some new businesses, or what's the?
It is, the parking structure will serve the properties south of that intersection along Maryland, on the west and the east side of Maryland, south of Franklin. The same people own some of those properties, and they're currently working on getting permits and remodeling some of those existing buildings, those old Wiley Lab buildings. One of them will be demolished and another small warehouse will be constructed on there. So that's the purpose of that new parking structure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
That really is the only question that I have. Open it up.
Yeah, I didn't know Wiley Park. If you said the Sandlot, then I would have known who you were
The,
talking
the
about. but-
pseudo tiny baseball
Yes.
field is what I use it for.
So I have, I guess, a couple questions. It's actually, it's very nice to see the update on some of the things that have, a lot of the things that have come through the planning commission, kind of like shows that the work that we've done. All of these were very familiar to me, but it has some, I guess, semi-random questions. So the residential installation program from LAX, I mean, it's a great program. I think a lot of residents have benefited from it. Is there a similar type of program for something that we can do with Hyperion and the air filtration systems? And they had when they had their incident, I mean, it was kind of a mess going through that program, right? It's like you buy an air filter or you stay at a hotel. Are there long-term solutions that we can have, even if it's preventative from this happening again? We have to go through this whole other process. It seems like it kind of falls into the same category of, the residential, like living protection from industrial sources.
That's a great idea.
I'll take a stab at this. It's a similar situation in that the airport causes a certain impact on residents, meaning noise. And the airport, after I think kind of a legal process and a settlement agreement, agreed to help fund the RSI program. And in the case of Hyperion, you could say that, yeah, there is an impact to residents, and then perhaps there could be a similar sort of outcome eventually. But I don't think that we are going in that route, taking sort of the legal route on that. We're not going through the courts at this point, from what I understand. But in theory, that there could be a program. It's just a matter of who pays for it, does the city council initiate it, and so forth. So in theory, yes, that might be an outcome here, but
So the RSI program came out of a lawsuit or
Yeah.
some community benefit program?
Yeah.
Lawsuit.
Okay,
So city council has,
okay, so
Has-
okay.
I don't even know what the words would be, right? Approved the idea of filing a lawsuit, but have not actually filed a lawsuit
Well, I think going to
Hyperion.
RSI, there was,
for Hyperion.
a lawsuit and a court order mandating it. And then there's also federal statutes and an FAA program specific to that. So I'm not aware of anything analogous that would necessarily apply to Hyperion, but I do agree with Paul's assessment.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully our council will take that up. And then the fair housing, I guess, a section that you'd spoken about, can you elaborate a little more? I'm not familiar with what we've done. It sounded like
Yeah.
that we've posted things on the website, but then I don't know if we've
I
gone
have
deeper
a
into
little
kind
bit
of
more
recruiting.
detail on that. I have some notes here, but there's a little bit more detail on that program in the report itself and in the housing element. So the aim is of the fair housing program is to take actions that promote sort of equity, non-discrimination when it comes to housing. That's just kind of a general term. So in the housing element, there are some specific sort of actions that the city committed to take. And so, for example, one of them is to work with the LA County Development Authority, an agency of the LA County. And LA County has a contract with a nonprofit called the Housing Rights Center. So that nonprofit, assists tenants when they have issues with landlords or when they feel that have been discriminated in a housing situation. The city contributes, in a sense, to LA County and is covered by these services. So we've put information on our website for our residents saying, if you have issues with your landlord, if you feel you've been discriminated against, you can call this nonprofit that works for LA County to give you assistance. So you can kind of work on those issues. That's one example. In addition, another action in the housing element related to this has to do with, again, LA County. LA County every 5 years or so puts together a 5-year plan to deal with sort of impediments to construction of affordable housing. So they analyze, housing situation in the county, and then they put together some action plans, and the city participates in that process of developing that county-wide plan. So that's one of the things that we committed to coordinate with LA County in those efforts. Those are some examples of the typical activities. If you look at the slide here, it talks about conducting outreach to target populations. So basically it means that when we do our housing outreach, we should not just reach out to the same people constantly. We need to kind of seek out disadvantaged communities in the city, seek out people in different neighborhoods, more affluent and less affluent, neighborhoods where, you may have, more minority population. And so some of the activities that we've undertaken, such as that neighborhood pop-up event that we do, it moves every quarter from one residential neighborhood to another. So what that does is it specifically addresses this particular requirement that when we do outreach regarding housing, we don't leave out, sort of vulnerable groups. We move around in the city and we try to find those people that may need sort of housing services or assistance. So I hope that helps kind of explain what what this program is about.
No, that helps a lot. Thank you. That's all I have.
Anything else? No? Okay. All right, thank you. It looks like we're gonna have a busy spring and possibly fall, so that's exciting. I know you all have been working on those items for a long time.
Yeah, we'll be super busy the next few months till about June, I believe, with some hearings.
Perfect, good timing. Okay, and this is, we don't need to vote on this, right? We're receiving and filing?
Excuse me.
Perfect. All right, so, we are moving on. Nothing else, report from Community Development Director.
Yeah, just one real main thing is it is the annual filing for Form 700s. So normally this gets distributed via email, which I think it may have already happened or it is about to happen, and I'll remind the city clerks to send it out again if they have not. But also, it was suggested to me that I have these here in print, if anybody has the time. Actually, I'll say it was suggested that I hold you hostage until these things are filled out. But if anybody has the time to sit with me here now, and ask questions, there's instructions, it's a few pages. We can do that now, and then I can give this to the city clerk in hard copy form. But it's critical that we get these in. There are fines if we don't get them in by the first week of April. And so the state can institute fines, and I think Joaquin might have some colorful addition.
Just some high-level stuff. These are statements of economic interest, so things that might be sources of conflict that the public would want to know about. And so there are certain, the law designates certain positions that have to file, and then the council has included other folks, like folks on appointed bodies, that have to fill them out. So we have to fill them out as well. But it's pretty perfunctory, and they are public documents. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Joaquin. So I have those, if you have a few
I
minutes.
will fill it out.
Yes, thank you.
It's very short and sweet.
All right,
for
that's
me.
all I got. And Commissioner Newman and I were talking earlier this week, and there was the question repeatedly about, lately about the welcome sign, and I kind of slacked off on giving updates because we just didn't have any exciting updates. But I have heard that it may be coming back to council for contract award in the very near future. So hopefully we have a respondent contractor who will win that bid and is within the price range that we were expecting in probably I think the next month or so. So that's some good news.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else from the city attorney's office?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Just those forms. All right, planning commissioner comments. Mario, Brenda?
Nothing from me. I'm just glad to see the RSI program back in working order. That's good. Where are those offices now? Are they in City Hall? Back?
No, they, I believe that they set up their demonstration office somewhere in Westchester.
Because there's also probably for Westchester residents a similar.
Yes, and Inglewood and
Okay.
unincorporated LA County.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a central hub for LAX or LAWA to operate out of for Westchester, Inglewood, unincorporated LA County, and El Segundo.
El Segundo used to only have their own, yes?
Yes, correct.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's very nice to know. Okay. That's it. Welcome. I feel like, have we had one this year at all? Not since before the holidays?
Apparently not. 'Cause
Happy New Year,
Jasmine said
everybody.
Happy New Year to us. So, again, things are blurring. It's been a while, so I don't know if, and I don't know if this is the place, Michael, where we report that the transportation subcommittee
Yeah.
met. Gosh, I don't even remember when it was.
Is your mic on? Sorry.
What's that?
Microphone?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, you know.
Yeah, so I don't recall, Michael, when it was. The transportation subcommittee met. It was Jay, Michael, and I, and we had kind of. Was it 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks. Okay, yeah. So, because I owe an assignment back to you guys. I'm supposed to do the mission statement for it, but we kind of landed on where we wanted to get this transportation subcommittee. We didn't want it to be just the planning commission. We wanted to get it because we're set up kind of oddly where transportation is made up of different groups within the city, then they're not necessarily talking to each other. So we wanted to have, the planning commission involved, rec and parks involved, because they actually run the shuttles that go here, and we wanted to get not just planning, but public works all involved. So we wanted this kind of like cross-functional team to get together to kind of plan and coordinate all of our transportation, I guess, efforts here in the city. So, and I owe something to do a mission statement for that, so hopefully we'll kick that off. I'll get that to you guys shortly and kick off that effort. So.
Thank you. Not planning commission related, but just wanted to commend the El Segundo Fire Department. I know that we haven't met, but on February 9th, there was probably the biggest fire incident that I've ever experienced since living here on Franklin and Lomita, and a friend's business was lost, but it was just personal property. And because of their efforts and all of the mutual aid we received, it didn't spread to Smoky Hollow, and there were no lives impacted. So that's huge. It was massive and kind of unreal, but was just very grateful to have them here and to have the assistance of all of our neighboring communities. So that is all for the evening. I think with that, we're adjourned until March 14th, correct? Great, thank you. Let's sign our...
For 700, yes.